A very good evening and welcome to Primetime News. I'm Madhushka Balasurya.
And I'm Sonali Manik-Badge. We start off first with a look at the stories making the headlines tonight.
Temporary shutdown of the Sapagaskanda refinery will not affect the supply. Statement by the Minister of Petroleum Resources. Minister Rajitha Senaratne says that Kalutara and Beruwala will be rebuilt. Is there a mafia that controls the rice prices in the market? A News First expose. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights appoints 3 experts to support the team that will conduct an investigation on Sri Lanka.
Sathusa says that it had imported over 1,600 metric tons of rice to the country over the past few days. Deputy General Manager of Sathusa, Anjana Prabhat Nissanka, speaking to News First, said that Ponni Samba and Nadu rice were imported from India. The Minister of Cooperatives and Internal Trade, Johnston Fernando, recently instructed Sathusa to import rice following complaints made by the general public, citing that private rice mill owners are concealing rice stocks in order to increase prices. According to the 2013 annual report of the Ministry of Cooperatives and Internal Trade, rice production in Sri Lanka had increased in 2013 compared to the previous year. Domestic rice production in 2012 stood at 3.846 million metric tons and had increased to 4.62 million metric tons by last year. According to the Central Bank report, the Paddy Marketing Board had purchased 126,262 metric tons of rice produced in 2012. In 2013, the Paddy Marketing Board purchased 233,366 metric tons of paddy. However, the Ministry of Agriculture says that rice production in the year 2014 had dropped by 5% as a result of the inclement weather experienced during the Maha season. Farming during the Yala season was restricted to 70% of farmlands due to the shortage of water. Thereby, it is expected that the output during the Yala season would also drop.
We have been rendered helpless. Look at the paddy field. We did not receive the fertilizer on time. The water has been directed to irrigation schemes and the farmers have been rendered helpless. The farmers are finding it difficult to engage in farming.
Although the government introduced a certified price of 35 rupees during the recent Maha season, rice was purchased by the private sector from the farmers for a more competitive price. In this backdrop, the stocks of rice held by the Paddy Marketing Board decreased in comparison to previous years. The Paddy Marketing Board also needed to provide a certain percentage of the rice produced in the country for the World Food Programme in addition to meeting the domestic demand. It is in this backdrop that the Ministry of Cooperatives and Internal Trade announced that it has received complaints that private businessmen are attempting to increase prices by concealing stocks of rice. Thereby, the ministry decided to import 100,000 metric tons of rice via Sathusa and distribute them under a government control price. Deputy General Manager of Sathusa, Anjana Prabhat, said that 130,000 metric tons of rice were imported to the country yesterday. Thereby, according to the government control price, the maximum retail price of a kilogram of samba will be 77 rupees, while a kilogram of white nadu will be sold for 68 rupees.
The mills sell us a kilogram of rice for a price of 73 rupees. They do not issue a receipt. Sometimes they say that we do not have rice. I came to this shop to purchase rice. They do not have nadu rice. There is an imported variety of rice which is priced at 76 rupees. It is difficult for us to eat. We are farmers who supply rice to the Rajarata. We are compelled to eat imported rice.
Meanwhile, mill owners, both small and medium scale, say that they do not have sufficient stocks of paddy to produce rice.
We do not receive any paddy stocks from the government. All the mills are shut down. We cannot even purchase a small quantity of rice because all the stocks go to the large-scale mill owners.
If this is the case, what is the force that is controlling the stocks of rice in the market?
There is no scarcity of rice. This situation has been created artificially. A handful of persons control the rice market in the country. During the recent harvesting season, the medium-scale mill owner was also compelled to purchase rice for a much higher price. In such an environment, the government had introduced a certified price. Before the amendment was made, it stood at 60 rupees. In this backdrop, the government conducted raids in relation to the government-controlled price, and thereby medium-scale mill owners were left helpless. The large-scale mill owners took steps to purchase the remaining stocks of the medium-scale mill owners. The government needs to convert the stocks of paddy to rice and release them to the market. However, instead of this taking place, they are releasing stocks of paddy to private businessmen. This too is being purchased by these large-scale mill owners. They collect the stocks separately. They purchase the government stocks of paddy and the stocks from medium-scale mill owners as well. They are having massive stocks of paddy in their storage facilities and are concealing them to indicate there is a shortage of rice. Their objective is to raise the prices.
Minister of Petroleum Industries Anura Priyadarshana Yapa says that the country will not experience a fuel shortage even though the Sapagaskanda oil refinery remained closed from last week. He points out that the refinery was shut down for its annual maintenance activities. However, petroleum trade unions charge that the refinery was forced to shut down following the rupture of an oil pipeline which carries crude oil from the oil tankers to the port.
The trade unions point out that it is more cost-effective to refine crude oil in Sri Lanka than to purchase stocks of fuel. They point out that the CPC has had to incur large loss due to the closure of the oil refinery on a number of occasions in the recent past. According to the CPC, the refinery produces 1/3 of the country's fuel requirements.
We had enough stocks of crude oil for the refinery. It was being pumped from ships. We had to close down the refinery last week for annual maintenance activities. However, we have enough consignments of fuel to meet the country's demands for a month. As a result of this, we will not face a fuel shortage during this period.
Meanwhile, petroleum trade unions charged that there was no way of supplying fuel to the refinery for nearly a month due to a rupture of an oil pipeline.
Rupture was reported in the oil pipeline which connects the port and the ships. We haven't been able to obtain crude oil from the 23rd of May. As a result, we have been forced to pay demurrage charges as well. We haven't been able to obtain the crude oil from the oil tankers as a result of this. The corporation pays nearly 2.5 million rupees a day. They have not informed us about having to pay any charges for the delay because this has been caused due to natural phenomenon. We have insured each consignment of fuel so we can speak with the insurance agents and reach a settlement. There is a possibility that we might have to pay. I am not denying it, but they have not asked for it as yet.
The final rites of the late S.M. Kalum Subasinghe, who was killed in police fire in the Baravavila area in Dewlapitiya, were performed today.
A large gathering arrived at the residence of the victim located in Baravavila, Dewlapitiya to pay their last respects. 19-year-old Kalum Subasinghe was killed in police fire when he was returning from a wedding with his brother. Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohana, speaking to News First, said that the magisterial inquiry into the incident will take place on the 1st of July. Meanwhile, a group of area residents staged a protest against the police shooting by obstructing the Dewlapitiya-Kurunegala main road this morning. Vehicular traffic was hampered as the area residents attempted to take the cortege towards the Dewlapitiya town. Thereafter, the group proceeded to the Baravavila Public Cemetery to conduct the final rites.
Meanwhile, a special program was held today to honor victims of police brutality.
At the event, persons who had been subjected to police brutality shared their experiences. This event was organised by the Jana Sabhava.
I told them not to drag me away because I was ashamed. They beat me with batons while taking me to the police station, and then they kicked me and ordered me to go to the cell. Then a woman came there. She told them I did not cause them any problem and that there was no need to press charges. Then they released me at about 11 o'clock. Thereafter, I filed a complaint with the assistance centre.
The story shook the nation 2 years ago. On the 29th, my son was at his wife's residence. I got a call from there at 4 o'clock saying that Gan was taken to the police. He was taken to the Dompe police. We tried to search for our son everywhere. On the earlier day, my husband saw my son being beaten up. He went to the location as soon as he heard this. When he was running back home, he fainted. While running, he screamed that our son had been beaten to death by the police.
Over 70 individuals have been shot and killed in connection to robberies. The police have a fine set of excuses. They say that suspects who were handcuffed had attempted to grab a weapon or had jumped into the Kalani River from the jeep, and the others in the jeep weren't able to catch him before. This is a very dangerous situation. The whole society has come to a very dangerous point. The concept of development is used to make us forget this problem and take our minds away from this. As a result, there is no room to solve this issue.
Meanwhile, another public gathering was held at the Pushpadana Hall in Kandy. Senior representatives of a number of human rights organizations in the district were also present at the occasion.
A program organized in view of the International Day in support of victims of torture was held at the Sri Lanka Human Rights Commission today.
Whether there are scars on the body or not, if there is evidence of mental torture, you are equally guilty of torturing a human being. Police officers must be guided by what is called the law of the land. They might be the security officers of the highest in the land, but they cannot threaten to shoot and kill a person. What happens is that when you do this type of thing, ultimately these police officers have to pay through their noses. Please act according to law. Don't exceed the law. You are vested with certain powers under the law. If you act in excess of those powers and cause harm to others, then you become liable personally, and the state would disclaim any type of liability.
Krura amanusika vadahinsane uchchatama avastha.
What is the worst possible scenario that could take place due to cruel and inhumane torture? The loss of life while in police custody. Over the past year, 8 such incidents were reported. Such incidents of inhumane torture have captured international attention. Such incidents are not only wrong and immoral, you will have to face some consequences, and it will eventually become an issue which is unbearable to the entire nation. Therefore, we have a duty to change the attitudes of the people and call on them to respect the rule of law and also to operate within the legal limitations.
නීතිය ආධිපත්‍යයට ගරු කරමින් නීතිය කියලා තියෙන විදියට අපේ රාජකාරී
මැලේසියාවේ ඉඳලා අංක 1 ත්‍රස්තවාදීන්
3 persons considered to be high-profile terrorists were brought to the country from Malaysia. Upon their arrival, the commission decided to immediately meet with them. I asked them whether they were subjected to mental or physical stress. They said no. They said that they face obstacles in Malaysia. The TID has provided them with everything that they need. This is my personal experience. Statistics show that torture is on the decline, but it has not been stopped completely.
වදහිංසන කියන එක අඩු වෙනවා. නමුත් ඒකට තිත තියලා නැහැ.
Now, a number of incidents where Buddhist monks were assaulted and murder have been reported in the recent past. News First takes a closer look at violence against Buddhist monks.
Acid attack against the Thero in the Aruggoda area in Alubo Mulla Panadura. Chief incumbent of the Sunando Pananda Vihara in Egoda Uina Morotua murdered. A novice monk at a Vihara in Moragahakanda, Kalatura North assaulted by an unidentified group. An individual who attempted to set fire to a Thero who acted as the coordinating officer of Buddhist affairs at the Ambalanthura Divisional Secretariat arrested. Assault on the chief incumbent of the Anandarama Vihara in Balana, Kadugannawa. Chief incumbent of the Mahaveli Mahavihara in Giranduru Kotte, Venerable Vataraka Vijitha Thero faces continuous intimidation and assaults. Media briefing attended by Venerable Vataraka Vijitha Thero disrupted. Opposition against Venerable Vataraka Vijitha Thero, who attended the session of the Mahayangane Pradesha Sabha. Thero was escorted into the council chambers under police protection. Venerable Vataraka Vijitha Thero remanded for filing a false complaint stating that he was assaulted by a group of individuals.
බන්ධනාගාරගතවා සත්‍ය ජයගයි කවදාද This is not a very good situation. Our venerable Theros have had to face such incidents because of their political connections. It is because they attempt to enter Pradesh Sabhas, provincial councils and parliament. There are Theros who represent various political groups. They have become stalwarts of various parties and they act to protect these political parties. Because of such developments, the people no longer venerate the Theros, and the respect that was given to the saffron robe is slowly slipping away. The Mahanayaka Theros and the leaders of various sects should come together and reach a common consensus. If this is done, then we will be able to avoid such tragic situations in the future.
Navi Pillay, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, has announced that 3 experts will advise and support the team that will conduct a probe on Sri Lanka. This was announced by the spokesperson for the UN Secretary General at the daily press briefing.
The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Navi Pillay, announced today that 3 distinguished experts have agreed to advise and support the team to set up to conduct a comprehensive investigation of alleged human rights violations in Sri Lanka. That team, you will recall, was mandated by the Human Rights Council. The investigation will look into alleged serious violations and abuses of human rights and related crimes by both parties in Sri Lanka during the last years of the armed conflict. The experts are Mattia Tessari of Finland, Sylvia Cartwright of New Zealand, and Asma Jahangir of Pakistan. The experts will play a supportive and advisory role and provide advice and guidance as well as independent verification throughout the investigation.
Meanwhile, the United States continues to urge Sri Lanka to cooperate fully with the UN Human Rights Commissioner and the investigation.
The United States welcomes UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Navi Pillay's announcement of the distinguished experts who will advise the panel conducting the international investigation into the alleged human rights violations and related crimes in Sri Lanka, as called for in the March 2014 Human Rights Council resolution on Sri Lanka. We strongly urge the government of Sri Lanka to cooperate fully with the Office of the High Commissioner and this investigation. We continue to urge the government of Sri Lanka to fulfill its obligations to its own people and to take meaningful, concrete steps to address outstanding concerns related to democratic governance, human rights, reconciliation, justice, and accountability. The United States stands ready to assist Sri Lanka in facilitating progress on these issues.
It has been reported that a group of students from the Rajarata University have taken the Vice-Chancellor and a group of lecturers hostage within the university premises. Vice-Chancellor of the university, Professor Ranjit Wijewardena, speaking to News First, expressed the following views.
A new batch of students were enrolled to the management faculty. While we were taking part in this event, a group of students surrounded the hall. They held us hostage for around 3 hours. They injured some of our lecturers and injured me as well. The students called for a dialogue and I agreed. They requested that the suspension imposed on all students be removed. We said that we will remove the suspensions as soon as they apologized, because on previous occasions, when students apologized, we lifted their suspensions. They did not want to apologize. They are attempting to do this by force. Around 10 lecturers are being held hostage at the office of the Vice-Chancellor.
News First is the most trusted news website in Sri Lanka, using a multi-platform responsive layout for a richer user experience. Our news reporting is verified, unbiased, balanced and fearless. We are Sri Lanka's most powerful social media network. Millions trust News First. That's why we are #1. Access our content on the web, Twitter, Facebook and YouTube. News First. Your life, our news.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa points out that friendship and cooperation among South Asian countries will not only be beneficial to the countries in the region but will also aid world peace. President Rajapaksa made this observation when he called on Maldivian President Abdullah Yamin Abdullah Gayoom during a bilateral discussion in Malé.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa, who is on an official visit to the Maldives, called on Maldivian President Abdullah Yamin Abdul Gayoom in Malé yesterday. During the bilateral discussion, President Abdullah Yameen had said that Maldives does not approve of the external influences against Sri Lanka and reiterated the support of the Maldives to overcome international challenges. The Maldivian president had also noted that our countries have been subjected to harassment and foreign intervention, and the only way to stop it is to stand together. President Mahinda Rajapaksa had said that the Sri Lanka-Maldives Joint Commission should be utilized to enhance bilateral relations in a systematic manner. The commission is to convene in August. Meanwhile, the head of state also called on the former Maldivian President Abdul Gayoom yesterday at the presidential office in Malé. Sri Lanka and the Maldives also entered into 3 new cooperation agreements.
Meanwhile, back at home, a special meeting was held today to discuss and implement a mechanism to rebuild the property that was destroyed in Kalutara and Berwala. The discussion was held in the Kalutara District Secretariat office.
If
a vehicle was set ablaze, it is not our concern. What needs to be done by the District Secretary and the Army with this allocation of 200 million is to renovate the property without providing money directly to the people. The Army comprises of a disciplined labour force. They work accurately. They are not like the workers that we use. We had a few shortcomings when we were working with the Housing Development Authority. I believe that this venture that is being carried out by us together with the Army and the other forces will be a resounding success.
එනිසා මා විශ්වාස කරනවා යුද හමුදාවත් අනෙකුත් හමුදාත් එකතු කරගෙන මේ කරන වැඩේ 100%ක්ම සාර්ථක වේවි.
තමයි ඉල්ලා හිටන මෙන්න මේ නීතිය කියන එක හරියට ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න. එච්චරයි මට ඕන.
All I am asking for is the implementation of the rule of law. Buildings can be rebuilt, but it is much more difficult to mend a broken heart. The only way to do this is by bringing the perpetrators to book. This will provide them with some mental relief. Then we can begin to mend these broken hearts. There isn't anyone here who set fire to shops or who got beaten up.
A function was held today to lay the foundation stone for the Mahindodaya Technological Laboratory at the Eppavala Central College. The event was held under the patronage of the Education Services Minister Duminda Dissanayake and North Central Province Chief Minister S.M. Ranjith. The following footage was captured by the News First cameras. News First attempted to contact both parties for a comment on the incident that transpired. However, both parties declined to provide a comment.
President of the Sri Lanka Mahabodhi Association, Venerable Banagala Upatissa Thera, met with the External Affairs Minister of India, Sushma Swaraj, recently. The meeting took place at the official residence of the Indian Foreign Minister in New Delhi, India. The main purpose of the visit, which took place on Sunday, was to extend an invitation to attend the event which will be held to mark the 150th birth anniversary of Anagarika Dharmapala. A letter requesting permission to telecast a live Pirit chanting program from Sanchi was also handed over to the Foreign Minister during this meeting. Furthermore, a discussion relating to the construction activities, the Buddhist University in Sanchi, also took place during the meeting. The Venerable Thero also presented the 188th edition of the Sinhala Baudhaya newspaper to the Indian Foreign Minister. Meanwhile, a discussion was also held between the Venerable Banagala Upatissa Thero and Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, Shivar A.J. Singh Chauhan, on the 19th of this month. This was on the construction activities of the Sanchi University.
CCTV cameras were able to record a robbery which took place at a retail store in Mavanella this morning.
The burglar had broken into the outlet in the Mavanalla town at around 1 a.m. this morning. The owner of the store who inspected the footage notified the Marvanala police of the incident. A team of police officers attached to the Marvanala police, including the Kagos senior superintendent of police, arrived at the scene at 2 a.m. According to the police, the suspect had fled the store and had hidden in a drain close by. Although the police inspected the drain the suspect was hidden in, he could not be found. However, the following morning, when two officials of the Marvanala Pradesh Sabha and two police officers of the Marvanala police inspected the drain once again, the suspect was found and was arrested. The police said that a sum of 2,500 rupees was found in the possession of the suspect, adding that he was a resident of the Ratnapura area.
Intellectuals and veteran politicians opine that there is an urgent need for a progressive opposition in the country. They are of the view that such a formidable opposition could only be created if all stakeholders unite under one leader.
එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයට බලයට එන්න බැරි වෙලා තියෙන්නේ මේ පක්ෂයේ තියෙන විවස්ථාව ඒ වගේම මේ අලුත් වෙනස්කම් ජනතාව සහ පාක්ෂිකයා ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කරන නිසා කියලා. ආචාර්යතුමා මොකද හිතන්නේ මේ පිළිබඳව?
එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය අවුරුදු 20ක් විපක්ෂයේ ඉඳලා තියෙනවා. එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ ඡන්ද ප්‍රතිශතය භාගයට බහැලා තියෙනවා. එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රී කණ්ඩායමේ ප්‍රමාණයෙන් එකහමාරක් ආණ්ඩුවේ ඉන්නවා. මේ සියල්ලම සිද්ධ වෙද්දී වෙනස් වෙලා නැති එකම දේ එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ නායකත්වය. අවුරුදු 20ක් තිස්සේ.
ඔබතුමා එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ දීර්ඝකාලීන සමාජිකයෙක්, ඒ වගේම ජ්‍යෙෂ්ඨ නායකයෙක්ව කටයුතු කළා, ඒ වගේම මහලේකම්වරයෙක්. ඇත්තටම ඇයි එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයට මේ වසර 20ක කාලයක් ගිහිල්ලා බලයට එන්න බැරි?
සටනකට යනකොට සමගිය තියෙනවා. මේ සමගිය ගොඩනැගිලා නැත්නම් ඒක සාර්ථකත්වයක් ලැබෙන්නේ නැහැ.
ඒ කවුද ඔය ඔබතුමා කියන සමගිය ගොඩනගන්න ඕනේ?
ඒක නායකයා කියන්නේ තමාට වැඩිය දක්ෂ පුද්ගලයෝ ලං කරගෙන ඒ දක්ෂ පුද්ගලයන් වැඩ අරගෙන අර ලාභයේ ඒ නායකයා ගන්න.
ඒ කියන්නේ ඔබතුමා කියන්නේ වත්මන් නායකයා දක්ෂ පුද්ගලයෝ ලං කරගෙන නැහැ කියලාද? විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ කෘත්‍යාධිකාරී මණ්ඩලය තමයි ඉහළම තීන්දුව తీරන ගන්න.
ඒක හොඳට තේරෙනවනේ. මොකද මේ පක්ෂයට හොඳම දක්ෂ පුද්ගලයෝ දැන් නැහැ.
රටේ මිනිස්සු විකල්පයක් හොයනවා. තියෙන නායකත්වයට වඩා හොඳ නායකත්වයක් තමයි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ රට රකින්න පුළුවන්, රට ගොඩනගන්න පුළුවන් නායකත්වයක්. රට ගැන කැක්කුමක් තියෙන නායකත්වයක්. ජනතාව ගැන කැක්කුමක් තියෙන නායකයෙක් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ. ඉතින් මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ ජනාධිපතිතුමාට සාපේක්ෂව එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ වර්තමාන නායකයා බලනකොට මිනිස්සු ඡන්ද දෙන්නේ නැහැ, ඡන්ද දුන්නෙත් නැහැ.
හැමදාම කියන මේ පුද්ගලයාට බෑ කෙරුවක මතුරුලා වගේ ගිහින් ඉතින් මෙච්චර විශාල ශක්තිමත් පක්ෂයක්. ඇයි මේ මිනිස්සුන්ට බැරි මේ තමන් කැමති නැත්තම් කැමති නැති නෙමෙයි ඒ සාර්ථකත් නැත්තම් මේ නායකත්වය වෙනස් කරන්න. මේ පක්ෂයේ මේ ව්‍යවස්ථාව හදලා තිබෙන්නේ හොඳ දක්ෂ අපක්ෂපාත පුද්ගලයන්.
ඒ කියන්නේ ඔබතුමා කියන්නේ මෙන්න මේ
ව්‍යවස්ථාවනේ මේක එහෙම ව්‍යවස්ථාවක්. මම කියන්නේ මේ එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ ඉස්සෙල්ලා තුන ව්‍යවස්ථාව.
එහෙමනම් මේ ව්‍යවස්ථාව වෙනස් වෙන්න ඕනද? මේක තුලින් මේ වෙනස ඇති කරන්න පුළුවන්.
මේ ව්‍යවස්ථාව මාව හිරේ තියලානේ ඒක වෙනස් කරගත්තේ.
ඔබතුමා හිරේ
97.
ඇයි මාව
97
මාව
චන්ද්‍රිකාට කියලා මෙතුමාව නිවාසට සිටියාගත්තා. මම හොරෙන් ගියා බලන්න.
මෙයා ආවේ ටෙලිවිෂන් එක හයි කරලා.
ටෙලිවිෂන් හයි කරන්න ගිහලා මම ගියා බලන්න.
සම්මත කරගන්නකොට
හමුදාව වට කරගෙන හිටියේ. සිරිතනකොටේ මාත්.
ඔබතුමාව නිවාසට ඇසි. ඔව්.
The 25th edition of Gamata Krida initiative, launched by Sports First for the betterment of Sri Lankan sport, concluded in Kandy today. The event took place centering the Watthigama education zone.
The Gamata Krida initiative was launched yesterday in a bid to recognise local talent and bring them to the international stage. Over 5,000 sportsmen and women took part in the 25th edition of the initiative. The event commenced today with a training session on race walking. Programs on cricket, race walking, judo, basketball, volleyball and tug-of-war took place at the Valala A. Ratnaka Central College. Programs for hockey and weightlifting were held at the Padadumbara grounds. The badminton training session was conducted at the Amrugama Tennakun Vimalananda College grounds. Confidence building, positive thinking and a question and answer session was held in the Valla A. Ratnagar Central College.
Well, before we wrap up the news, still on a World Cup related note, I have some news on Luis Suarez.
The biter.
Yes, that's right, the biter. Luis Suarez has been handed a ban by FIFA, forget this, 4 months from all footballing activities. In addition to that, he will be banned for 9 international matches. Now, of course, this means if FIFA or if Uruguay do appeal, Suarez might be able to play against Colombia in their next round match, but that is yet to be seen.
Well, Madhushka, he'll certainly think twice before biting into something again. On that note, we wrap up tonight's edition of news. I'm Sonali Manikabadke.
And I'm Madhushka Balasuriya, wishing you a very good evening.
Hotline 0114-896-896. www.newsfirst.lk. Feedback at newsfirst.lk.